Welcome to Our Home Ground, the first official episode. This is so exciting. Our Home Ground is a place where the women's game feels personal and powerful, a space for us to talk about all things women's soccer, sort of like off the pitch. What I am is a fan of the game, and I love the impact that it's having off the field. So let's talk about it. On today's episode, I'm really excited because this is something that I talk about with my friends all the time, and I think people get like potentially sick of me talking about. And I don't really care because I'm so passionate about it. And it's this idea of the power of women supporting each other that exists in this microcosm of women's sport. And I think the Euros was a crazy good display of how important and impactful this is. So, unless you're either not a women's football fan or live under a rock, you should know that we just had a couple of major football tournaments. I was able to attend the Euros, and it was a dream start to finish. I was there from the last quarterfinal through to the final, and it was everything you could have wanted and more. Every game went to extra time. I got no sleep. I hung out with the coolest women from around the world. It was amazing. So I think I could do a whole episode on that, and maybe I just will in the future. But that's not what I want to focus on in this episode, not sort of like my experience of the Euros, but some of the major takeaways that I have been like thinking about nonstop in this power of women supporting women. And I think there were some really clear examples at the Euros that I just think we can all learn something from. To be clear, I'm never going to be a professional footballer. And so it's not that I'm taking these lessons into like my team or something like that. That's not how it's ever going to work. And I think we talk a lot about how inspirational these women are for future generations. And what I want to bring to this podcast and for us to talk about is how inspirational they are to current generations and even like older generations of women who are existing in this world. Because I know that going to that Euros, watching it on TV before I was out there, has taught me so much about what it means to like be a friend, to show up for my people, the power of female friendship and relationships, like all of that. Like I just think it's so cool. So let's get into it. I think the first one that I want to talk about is this idea of the German team and their captain, Giulia Gwinn. I'm trying to say it like the Germans might say it. I am not German, but I want to try. So, Giulia Gwinn is the captain of Germany. And early on, I want to say in like the 20-ish, ith, 20-ish, I don't think that's a word. Anyways, about the 20th minute in the very first game, opening game of the tournament for Germany, she goes down with a knee injury. And she's out for like 6 to 8 weeks, I think, potentially longer than that. So she's out for the Euros at least. And they know that. I bet she knew it in the moment. We find out after the game. She goes home to Germany, gets surgery, and then comes back and is with her team. And this, I think, is one of those you could argue, if you want to argue against my point of this power female friendship. This is a theme that we see in sport, right? Like when a teammate gets injured, the team can like rally around them. I don't think that's necessarily a uniquely feminine or women's phenomenon, but the German team was just incredible about it. And the way that Giulia Gwinn was there at every game on the bench still, she was giving team talks. It was so incredibly emotional. And the way that they spoke about how important she is to their team and what it means now for them to be playing for her. They were very vocal about it on social media. She was posting about how proud she was of her teammates, how thankful she is to like still be there. Her teammates were posting about and speaking about in media about how they were doing this for her. And just to be able to show back up for your teammates. Like if I'm Giulia Gwinn, it's the dream to play in the Euros. To captain your country to the Euros is something that, how many teams were there? 16 teams. 16 women got to do this year. That is such an incredibly small number of people. She's achieved the dream, and you hope that you're there playing your three group stage games and then the quarterfinals, semifinal, final, winning 6 games. That's the dream. And 20 minutes into your first game, your dream is shattered. Like there's nothing left for you. That's one way, at least you could interpret it. And she probably part of her did feel that way. but she showed up and she was there for her team and she was still part of the team, and the team then in return like showed up for her, kept her integrated in the team, and it was just the coolest thing to see. I got to go to the Germany versus France game, which was crazy. They played down a player from like again even earlier, I think like the 13th minute, one of their players got a red card, went to extra time penalties, and the way that that team celebrated, you could just tell that they were together and there was something a little bit different. And then the way that they celebrated with her was so cool. And I just think it's so important to like recognize those kinds of things because it would have been really easy for Giulia Gwinn to just go back to Germany, get surgery, stay there, do her rehab. But she didn't. She like set aside her own personal heartbreak to be there for her team and to rally like with them for her. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever. And I don't know, I just feel like that's such an example of how we can continue to show up for people in these really unique ways. Like they showed up for her and got to the semis of a European championship. Again, not something that I'm ever going to do, but I can show up for my friends who are hurting. And when I'm hurting, and maybe, I don't know, like my friend gets the job over me or whatever, somebody else is living my dream, I can still be supportive of them. And that is just so cool and difficult. And I just want to like commend that German team and what they did there, and like the power of relationships among women is just so cool. And I thought that was a really cool display of it. Okay. So that is my conversation about Germany. And I will go ahead and just let everybody know that the rest of this is going to be about England because I'm biased and that's the team that I was supporting. That's whose media I was consuming the most of. So I'm just putting that out there and I recognize that this is going to be England centric for the rest of it. And that's just what I'm going to do. And that is going to have to be okay. I really want to try to be inclusive of a lot of things on this podcast, but today at the Euros, we'll be talking about England. Wait, today, when we're talking about the Euros, we'll be talking about England mostly. So, the first one, and I think this one's pretty obvious, I think we all saw it all over. This started pre Euros, is this friendship that has formed between Beth Mead and Ella Toone. So, for those of you who might not know, Beth Mead's mom passed away of ovarian cancer in January of 2023. Yeah, that's right. Just a few months after England won the Euros in 2022. So this was Beth Mead's first international tournament without her mom there because she had torn her ACL in like November of 2022. So she did not compete in the World Cup in 2023. So this 2025 Euros was her first major tournament without her mom. Ella Toone's dad recently passed away. Oh, and I don't actually know when, this spring, I think. Yeah, it was in the spring part of the WSL season, kind of early on, I think. Late winter, early spring. Her dad passed away also. He died of cancer. Has been very outspoken about what a support Beth Mead has been for her as she tries to navigate what it means to like continue playing football without her dad, who was a huge supporter of hers in the same way that Beth's mom was a huge supporter of her. The other person that they also give a lot of credit to and has become like a little trio, it seems, is Rachel Daly. Her dad also passed away. And then she came back to playing soccer. I think Rachel Daly actually played the day after her dad passed away. There's this little trio. We got to see Beth, Mead, and Ella Toone on the biggest stage, just supporting each other. Anytime anything good happened for either one of them, they were together and just hugging. There's tons of pictures after games, after goals of them kissing their hands and pointing up to the sky, which they've been vocal about how that's them celebrating with their angels up in the sky who have the best seat in the house, and how they're probably celebrating bigger than anyone else. But I just think that display of friendship in this, again, like really, really difficult, impossible kind of situation is so beautiful and is something that not everybody, I think, would be as vocal about as those two. They're both seem to be these two huge personalities in the team. And I think sometimes that makes it even harder. Jill Scott has talked about this a little bit, how, when you are the one who's like supposed to be happy and funny and like making jokes, sometimes that it can be hard then when you're not in a good spot to feel like you still have to show up in that way. But to have Beth and Ella be able to like lean on each other in these really, really difficult moments, I think is incredible. After the tournament, we did find out that Ella Toone's grandma, her Nan, died. Nana Maz, I think is what they called her, died on the morning of the final. So Ella had like even more unimaginable loss than we were aware of at the time. But to see the way that everyone rallied around her, there's the really sweet clip of Leah Williamson hugging her after the final whistle after they won. Um, just telling her how proud she was of her. And they're both like in tears. We saw Alessia Russo did not leave Ella Toone's side in the celebrations immediately following the final whistle. And it's just like that kind of female friendship is incredible. I just think it's so cool. Show up for your people, be there for them in the highest highs and the lowest lows, and sometimes those coexist. And I just think that that's so cool. I'm obsessed with that, the way that that Beth and Toone really supported each other. I realized I was calling her Ella that whole time, which feels weird. She goes by Toone. She feels weird when her best friends call her Ella, but I just think that that display of support of one another was really incredible. One that I want to talk about quickly that kind of borders on getting into like tactics and on-field stuff is the way that the England team spoke about their loss to France and what they wanted the rest of their games to look like moving forward. I think I can think of like Georgia Stanway, Leah Williamson, Jess Carter, I'm sure others. Hannah Hampton even talked about it in different, media presences that they did, whether it was a press conference or in the mix zone afterwards or on that Lionesses podcast with Harriet Rose. They spoke about what a lonely game of football the game against France was. I don't know a whole ton about that because, like I said, I'm not like deeply enmeshed in playing football, but I can imagine, right? Like they talked a lot about how they didn't feel like they had each other's back. They didn't have anybody's back. Nobody had their back. It just felt very, very lonely. And they decided they had a sort of like come to Jesus meeting, is how it was described. And they decided that no matter what happens moving forward in this tournament, we're going to do it together. We're not going to be lonely. We're not going to leave each other out to dry. What we're going to do is we're going to have each other's back. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to help you do your job. And I think that that is part of the reason why they won the Euros. Again, I'm not really qualified to say that, but it's just you could tell that the vibe of the team changed. They were so close. Nobody was on an island. Everyone was there. If a tackle was missed, there was someone behind it. If a ball got through, there was someone there. Like they just stuck together, and that's all they kept saying. We're together. Like I think the word of the tournament that I would give them, and I don't know if they would agree. I've consumed a lot of the media that they did between the podcast and press conferences and interviews post game, the mix zone, like all the things. They just kept saying together, like we're together. And it worked. I don't know if other teams had that in the same way. I think it can be really difficult to consume as much media of other teams if you don't speak the language. I speak English, so trying to consume like Spanish media can be difficult, but I just think it was such an incredible display of the power of like female friendship, of women supporting women. And I think what's so interesting about that, and this is across all all high level elite athletics, but they talk about it a lot on national team level. US women's national team talks about it a lot. The Lionesses have talked about it a lot. The way that these national teams are simultaneously the most competitive environments in the world in their sport and also where their best friends are. Like it's such a complex dynamic, but the fact that these 23 girls were able to be together and be so supportive of one another when Lotta Wubamoy, Maya Letitia, the backup goalkeepers, right? They're not getting a single minute. They did not see the field for a single moment. Yet they cheered so loud for their teammates, right? Like we had the clicks going on, we had all the things. Like in the way that like Aggie Beaver Jones supported Michelle Adjemang, when, I mean, we all, I think, at least I thought that Aggie was going to be the hero of the tournament, right? Like Alessia's going to start and then Aggie's going to come in and be the finisher. And I'm sure she had that expectation for herself as well. But that's not what happened. The hero who came in and saved the team twice was Michelle Adjemang. And Aggie was one of the happiest people in the world on that team and supported her, celebrated with her, like all of the things. And they're in direct competition. They play the same position. They are quite similar in age. I think they're like 3-ish years apart in age. Like they're going to be competing for the same spot at England for the foreseeable future. And yet they're able to like support each other and be each other's biggest cheerleaders because they have really bought into this idea that like we are one and what's best for you is best for the team, which is best for me. And I just think what what a cool thing to be able to do. And I have so many questions about like the psychology of that and like what Serena's doing in the camps, what the Emma Hayeses of the world, like all of these other national team coaches are doing to foster an environment like that because you have to be that person and be ready to be the next one up. It's so fascinating to me and I love it so much. But like these are these people's best friends and also their direct competition and that's crazy behavior. And I think part of what makes the sport so fun and exciting. I don't know. That one got a little tangential. I would be remiss to have this podcast and not talk about the way that England supported Jess Carter following her statement regarding the racial abuse that she received during the European Championship. To be clear, there is no room for racism in women's soccer, in society, ever, anywhere. It is wrong. It is unfair. It's quite frankly stupid. If you're racist, you're not a supporter of the team. And I think it was maybe Georgia who said, like, I don't even know what to call those people because if they're not fans of Jess, they're not fans of our team. And I couldn't agree more. There's no room for it. I hate it. Now I'm getting angry. And what I want to talk about is how the team rallied around her and how actually the sport in general rallied around Jess. I was fortunate enough to be at the semifinal game, which was the next game where she didn't start. She did come on for a few minutes at the end, but they announce, the whole teams before the game starts. When they were announcing the players of each team, Jess for sure got the loudest applause. Everyone was like screaming so loud. In fact, we like couldn't hear Michelle Adjemang, who was number 17, because everyone was still cheering for Jess Carter. There were tons of fans with posters and with English flags saying like we stand with Jess. It was incredible. So the community rallied around her and her teammates, the way that they posted on social media, the things that they said in their press conferences and in any of their like media duties that they did following the incident, I think was incredible. She spoke a lot about how supportive they were, how she felt so supported by them, by this coaching staff. It makes me so mad that she had to feel that kind of support because of the horrific things that were being said. And it's just insane. It goes without saying, nobody deserves that. And so, even the broader football community, she plays in the NWSL for Gotham FC. They posted about it. Nearly all of her Gotham teammates posted about it. The NWSL made a statement. Other NWSL clubs made statements about it. Like, it was just really, really cool to see all of these women and women's sports organizations rallying around her in that way. And then during the 16th minute, the fans, we all clapped for the whole minute. And I'll be honest, I didn't get any like pre-warning that that was happening. But all the clapping started from the England fan section, which I wasn't sat in. And then I kind of like looked around and I was like, what's happening? And then I said to my friend, I'm like, oh, it's the 16th minute. It's for Jess. Then, of course, obviously, we're like locked in, clapping as well. That was really, really cool. And then when she subbed on, the crowd just went wild. And so just to like see people rally around her in that way, I think is really, really powerful. And I just love it. Okay, this next point that I want to talk about is goes out to the wags out there, and specifically one in particular. And this, I want to talk about the support that Vivianne Miedema has given Beth Mead at the Euros, of course, but also in May at the Champions League final and in 2022 at the Euros. Because, again, if you're unaware of who Vivianne Miedema is, she's a women's footballer, a fabulous women's footballer, very, very talented. She's been plagued with some injury of late. She also tore her ACL in the winter of 2022, like 2 weeks after Beth Mead, her girlfriend, tore her ACL. So they did a whole ACL recovery together. And then she left Arsenal, which was a club she had been at for multiple years, like I want to say like 7 years. At the end of the 23-24 season, was traded to Man City. I don't even know if she was traded. I think that's just where she went when her contract was up with Arsenal. She went to Man City and had a tough season with injury, and then plays also for the Netherlands. She scored her 100th goal for the Netherlands in their opening game of the tournament against Wales. And so Viv is an incredible footballer in her own right. She won the Euros in 2017 with Netherlands, just like an unreal, insane talent. She dates Beth Mead, who is an unreal, insane talent for England. And Viv has been there for the trophy celebrations with Beth for the 2022 Euros, the 2025 Champions League, and the 2025 Euros. And I just think the way that she is able to kind of like bracket again her own ambition, right? Like Viv would have wanted to win the Euros. Netherlands has been struggling of late, not having a great time. They ended up not making it out of the group. Incredibly tough group. France, England, Netherlands, and Wales. Very difficult group of death by all stretches of the imagination. Viv would have wanted to win the Euros. Netherlands got grouped, but she stayed in Switzerland through the final, was at every game, quarterfinal, semifinal, final, supporting Beth. And it's just, again, the ability to do that for the person that you love when she's achieving your dream for the second time. I think maybe I'll give credit, or I don't even know if it's giving credit. I think it's kind of the opposite, taking credit away from Viv. She already won it once, so like she has a Euros medal, but I don't think Viv's ever won the Champions League. And she was at the Champions League watching Beth win the Champions League with the club that she loved. Viv was outspoken about how much she loved playing for Arsenal. It was incredibly emotional when she left. She was crazy emotional. All the fans were crazy emotional. I'm still not over it, but she was at that Champions League final cheering for Arsenal, watching her girlfriend and her best friends like achieve her dream. Man City was in the Champions League. They did not make it out of the group stage, but they were fighting for the same trophy. Netherlands didn't make it out of the group stage, and then Beth went on to win that trophy too. So the way that she can show up and celebrate Beth and suspend her own heartbreak and devastation and all of these things to be there for the person that she loves is unreal. And she is friends with so many of the England players, either through Beth or from playing at Arsenal or just playing with them at Man City. Like she knows so many of these girls, and she was just celebrating big. And I think it's so, I can't say enough good things about it. Like I just find it incredible because truthfully, I don't know if I could do it. I think I would be more like Ann-Katrin Berger was, sitting there. Like Viv comes decked out in a Beth Mead England shirt, like the whole, she is committed fully. Ann-Katrin Berger came in like a black sweatshirt with a New York Yankees hat, like on, hood up, like trying not to be seen, sitting in the England section, supporting her fiance, Jess Carter. Obviously, we all know that's why she's there. She's at this point cheering for England. Anne and Jess were just on Sam Mewis's like live podcast that she did in New York. And Esther Gonzalez, who's their Gotham teammate, said that, and Anne like kind of confirmed that Anne told Esther to like go win it all now. But it wasn't because she like wanted England to lose. It was just that she wanted the team that like Germany lost to win the whole thing. But there was like a little banter there that would suggest going to listen to, because I think that's how I would be if I was in this situation. I'd be a little bit like, Yeah, like I want you to win. But I wanted to win. And so I want my team to look good. So if my team doesn't win, then the team that beat us should win. I don't know how these women do it, how they compete against each other. Even we've seen Anna Battier and Lucy Bronze, the way that Anna has like comforted and supported Lucy through some really difficult situations, post Champions League loss, post World Cup 2023. And then when she hurt herself, when Lucy got injured at the 2025 World Cup, nope, not World Cup, 2025 Euros, on a in the run of play, which I want to talk about a little bit more in a minute, more broadly. Lucy injured her knee, and Anna didn't come over immediately, but once she had been down for a minute, Anna like came over to check on her and like make sure that she was okay. Post game, they like sat together. Lucy was like visibly upset because she had injured her knee, and Anna was like comforting her, even though her team had just lost the European final. And it's just the way that these women are able to show up for each other, for the women that they love, is just so cool. I love every moment of it. I feel like I've said so cool probably 900 times. I'm gonna go back and edit this and think it's so annoying, but I don't know what else to say. I need to broaden my vocabulary, I guess, but I just love it. So, getting back to this idea of like Anna checking on Lucy during the game, this was something that I saw in the final repeatedly on multiple occasions was players from opposite teams checking on each other. So, Spain played England in the final. There's a ton of respect between these two teams. They are two of the best teams in the world. These players know each other. They play together on national or on their club teams, and they've just played enough times. They're in this like very, very elite group. Like they know each other. But there were a couple of instances that came to mind early on in the game. Mariona Caldente went down, and I don't exactly remember what happened. I don't think it was a tackle with Leah Williamson. I think it happened with another like midfield type player, but Mariona went down and she didn't get up right away. And Leah Williamson like jogged over to her and then didn't leave her side. Play was still continuing further up on the pitch. England had the ball like attacking, and Leah like didn't move. She stayed with Mariona. She had her hand like on her back, was talking to her, trying to see if she was okay. They played together at Arsenal, so they're very good friends. But I just thought like that's beyond good sportsmanship. Like good sportsmanship would be like running over and being like, "Hey, are you okay?" and making sure they're not like, I was going to say actively dying, but that feels really insensitive because sometimes that does happen. But, just checking in and then going back, making sure that you're ready to go should the attack change, all of that. I think that sportsmanship. Leah staying there, standing there with her until play is stopped, making sure that her like physios got over to her, were taking care of her, and then she walked away. That's bigger than sport. That's power of female friendship. I mean, we're back to it, but I just think it's incredible because they're both fighting to win this European Championship, and it's probably what they want more than like most things in life. But Leo was willing to just like stop and check on Mariona and make sure that she was okay. I saw another Spanish player do that for an English player, and now for the life of me, I can't remember who it was, and I don't want to just like make it up. But I saw it on a couple of different occasions. And then when Lucy went down with her knee, Anna did come over, and a couple of the other Spanish teammates were kind of like hovering close by just to like give Lucy a little bit of space. Anna was checking on her, but then they kind of asked Anna, like, is she okay? And the answer was like, no, I think. She played a few more minutes and then was like immediately subbed off. Her knee was like wrapped like crazy in all the celebration. She like wasn't walking on it. Turns out we first thought, okay, that's because she broke her leg. Turns out her other leg was broken. The one that she was like jumping on and dancing on the whole night is the one with the fractured tibia. Lucy Bronze is a freak of nature, and I'm so impressed by that. Like, good for her. Yeah. So I just think that the way that these women throughout the whole tournament showed up for each other, I'm sure that I'm missing so many because this whole European Championship, the like tagline for it, I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I'm going with tagline because I don't know what the word is, was like summit of emotions. And that just feels so right. And that feels so like womanhood-ish. Like obviously a woman came up with that because you're never going to go to like a men's Euro and they're going to call it like the summit of emotions, which it is that too for them, but this is a very like woman-centric tagline and I love it. And the European Championships really was a summit of emotions. It was the summit of female friendship. It was the summit of just being a woman in the best ways. There were some not so great ways, of course. The online discourse wasn't always perfect, but I'm choosing to highlight some of the like positive things that I saw about this women supporting women. And like I said, I haven't even gotten into like my experience of the community of womanhood and community of friendship and all the things that happened and maybe I'll do that in a later episode, but this one just felt like where I wanted to start because these are the kinds of things that I want to be talking about on this podcast. Like, yeah, it's stuff that's like happening on the pitch, but it's bigger than that. It's not the tactics, it's not the analytics because I don't know anything about that. What I know about is how important it is to be a friend and how much I value my friendships. And so, yeah, I think that wraps up the first episode. That was so fun. I'm so excited about this project. I'm hopeful that the more of these episodes I do, the better they'll get, the more streamlined they'll be, the less rambly they'll be. But I don't know. I'm a girl who loves to chat, so maybe they won't be. But yeah, if you listened this far, that's crazy. I don't even know how long I've been talking. Too long. But yeah, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy to be here. And hopefully this will be something that I'll be able to like maintain and keep doing. So I love it here. Thanks for watching.